that is the time spent at the little bar down there that they closed where they used to eat the peanuts and throw them on the floor, and you'd get up and you'd block until 2 in the morning in the bar, which was great. I learned a lot of what I came to believe in right here at this clinic, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine I'd have the opportunity to come and speak, to be asked to speak to a group of guys like this. So, I mean, I was burning my pencil up on the first 2 lectures, actually the first one, or the second one. Paul, sorry, the first one, my wife, she had me out to breakfast, I couldn't be there, but it's a great honor to have a chance to speak, and I'll try and get through this quickly so I can start talking about the other thing. The other thing that I'm very thankful to is I always can't speak without talking about Coach Dungy. Call me a suck-up, kiss ass, whatever you want to. I've got to thank Tony. Tony's given me an opportunity. I was never a line coach in the National Football League prior to getting the job in Tampa. I was the assistant line coach for 2 real good guys in Minnesota. I coached the tight ends. Actually had a chance for, I can't remember, Tice, were you coaching me or was I coaching you your last year in Minnesota? Oh, I was coaching you, okay. So I had a chance to coach Mike and coach tight ends at Minnesota, and then when Tony came to Tampa, made me the line coach, and I can't say enough to be thankful for him. And like Bob said, one of the reasons that we do run the ball is because of Tony's philosophy, and like Ken had talked about, having a philosophy to want to run the football, whether it's 7-man front, 8-man front, 9-man fronts when you can't throw the ball. We have some similar problems with our first and second down pass game efficiency. So we've got to run against a lot of different 8- and 9-man fronts, and are excited, so there's a real challenge that way. But luckily the philosophy of the head coach allows us to do that. Like Bob said, I'm talking about the power game, our off-tackle power play, and also, if there's time, 3-step turn protection. I'm going to talk until he tells me to stop, so don't blame me when we go into lunch or if we go into lunch. Like Kent said, feel free to ask questions at any time, and I'll be happy to answer them. And I'll repeat the question for Howard so the guys in the back of the room can hear it, and then we'll go from there. I'll start off, instead of starting with the 50, I'll talk about our power play here. Start with it versus our under defense, okay? And the first thing I'll start with is the back, and the key to our power play is not these 5 guys up front, as you'll see on the tape. Okay, the key to the power play are these guys back here and their willingness to do things. And I'm sorry, really before that. Well, it's right here. Before I get into the front, I just real quick want to share this with you. The philosophy of our power play, it's our play. Okay, the power play is our play. It's a play that no matter what else is going to go that day, we're going to try and make the power play go. We believe, and Tony Dungy has shared with the offense, and what we've got to do is we do feel we've got to have some sort of a zone play strong, zone play weak, a lead play strong, a lead play weak, and then you've got to have some sort of double down kick out strong and weak. We don't have much to the weak side, but we do to the strong side, and that's our power play. Based on the different types of fronts and defenses that you see, we feel we need to have all that in our running game. So as far as that goes, we're not necessarily a very, very good inside zone team or an outside zone team. A little bit better on the lead schemes up inside, but the power play is something that we've fallen into and have done real well. But it's our play that we're going to try and make go. The first year there it was very successful. The second year it fell off a little bit based on some of the fronts and the teams we played. And then this past year it's picked up very, very well. This is the 2 points that need to be made. It's a gap play and it's an A-gap play, okay? Kind of a play on words, but it's an A-gap play for us. And when we start talking, I was just getting ready to start talking about the back. This back starts in the A-gap. That's the starting point for us, and it's our gap play. Everybody's blocking gap down, kick out, and turn up inside. The other point that if nothing else, when I get done rambling up here, if you've picked up that it's an A-gap play, and what we do with the pull of the guard, try and take away those 2 things. Those are 2 things that every coach thinks that's something they do a little bit unique or different or whatever it is. The fact that it's a gap play isn't, but we've really worked hard with the pull of the guard over the last, every year, it's gotten a little bit better, and we've tried to fix every year what's been wrong with the pull of the guard, trying to make it easy for him and address some issues that go with that. Okay, so going back to the front here, I'll start with this and come back to the 3-4 front. But on the under defense, okay, obviously the first thing I'm going to talk about is the diagram's a little bit screwed up here. We're showing a counter step by this back and running. If this were going to be drawn up exactly correct, it's more of a little drop step here, and then it's directly downhill into the A gap. Okay, that's his starting point. That's his aiming point. And everything that we do, every aiming point that we give all the linemen, everything that we teach from that point on, what we tell the pulling guard, what we tell the backside tackle, everything is based upon him starting in the A gap. Now, was every big play that we had on the Power O out here? Probably 80% of them. Okay, but that's where the play starts. Everything that I start to talk about with the aiming points of the rest of the linemen here will dictate that. Okay, our quarterback for 2 years we reversed out. So the quarterback in this diagram here reversed out this way, came back and handed back to the back ball carrier there. We've now started to open two. We felt, I guess the quarterback coach felt that it gave it a little more look as though with the counter stepper action by the back here, that like we do on our weak side zone where he reverses out. So we've actually started to front out on the power, which you'll see on the tape. But again, key point here, you'll see them, they kind of on the tape, you'll see it, they drop step, and then they start right back downhill in the inside leg of the guard, A gap area. Right down in there, press it, they hate it. That's the biggest discussion when the backs come to the sideline that we have. Do I have to keep sticking in the A gap? We're not telling you have to run in the A gap. Just please start in the A gap so it sets our blocks. All right, the strength of the play here, if we have a bubble over the guard, we're going to double team now, or one of the strengths of the play is a double team between the tackle and the tight end. And we make a call. We expect them to make the call. We'll communicate eat if it's the end and the tackle. If the tackle and guard are in combination, we'll call tag. That's the way we communicate the double team. We don't need to say anything else. So if we get to other fronts where the tight end's by himself, he's listening for an eat or a tag call from the tackle to determine where the double team's going to begin. Now, different, the same, I don't know. What we try and teach on this double team, and I'll go through the techniques, but the philosophy of what we're trying to get on the double team of the 5 is not to move him straight back off the line of scrimmage. In fact, and some of it is built upon what we see on defense. We see an 8-man gap-controlled defense from our defense in camp, in mini camp, and then from a lot of people in the league that are playing the 8-man front in the gaps. When we put this play in the first year, we tried to do this. We tried to knock him back off the ball. And what happened was the more we tried and the wider he got, the more we showed double team and the more he sat down and we didn't create movement with the strongest block in the play, the double team on the eat block or the double team on the power. So what we started doing, and when we get to camp it looks even more, what we want this to look like, this should look to this end like a backside cutoff on the weak side lead play. And our movement on this play, yeah, there may be times where we knock him straight back, but our movement on this play looks more like that, or should look like that. Okay? So, and I'm not, whether he moves them here, we're trying to get movement on the end, obviously, but what I don't want to see, as I don't want it to look like a double team to start with, because the second we did that, going back to 3 years ago now, all they did was sit on the double, and there was no movement at the point of attack, which made it real unclear for our guard, real unclear for our back, and it was not as good a play. So the technique, first of all, with the tight end, what the tight end's trying to do is just like he would on a backside zone, probably not as far across with his hat. He's trying to stick his hat. He's going to lead step, angle step inside. He's trying to put his hat on that near number of the defender. Okay, so as he steps down to the inside, his aiming point is on that near number. It's going to be a right shoulder block. There's a lot of things that Kent talked about, the high hand on the backside. All we're trying to do is you've got to close that C-gap seam. You cannot allow penetration in the C-gap. There can't be penetration. If there is, we'll tell you what we do with our guard to help it. But you've got to close that seam with a nice angle step inside. What we believe on the down block is the quicker you can get down, the less chance there is of penetration. So drop stepping, pivot stepping, position stepping isn't going to get you there. Now, if in fact you can pivot and cross to get there just as quickly, there's at times that may be applicable if you're on the right angle and if you're getting there. But you got to get there. This guy's got to close the C-gap and you got to go. And our tight ends have done a nice job of that. Okay? His angle now that sets his track through that play side number. Once he gets on that track, he stays on that track and continues, and the front side combination is responsible for the down lineman to the backside linebacker, the will linebacker. So once he gets on that track, if that down guy is on that track, if there's color showing from the defender there, he's going to stay on that track and drive that guy down. Is his hat always going to be on the front side number? No. Is it sometimes going to be on the shoulders? He's sometimes going to be a little bit plus on the guy? Yeah, depending upon how the end's going to play. So his angle is determined a lot by the width of this defender, right? If the end's in a wide 5, his angle's not quite as flat. If the end's tighter on the offensive tackle, then the tight end's angle's flatter. Okay? The tackle now, what we're trying to do, and when we look at the film, it's going to be all over the place because every year we keep changing it, and not good, okay? But we're changing it. What we want this front side tackle to do is with this first step, and I don't care if the guy's in a wide 5. I'm talking about almost a gap defender, which we see in camp, whether he's on the shoulder or whether he's on an eye. Obviously, the tighter he gets, the more you want to step with your inside foot, and we're trying to create some angle with the inside foot. In other words, we don't want to come straight up the field. We never want to step with our outside foot on that double team, okay? Ever. Never. The second I step outside foot, he steps inside foot, double team, sit down, split, no movement, no seam, nothing. Always stepping inside foot, okay? And the most important block, obviously, is going to be the second step of this block, but he's trying to create some angle with the inside. 2 reasons for the angle. The first reason for the angle is if this guy does spike, if he does go inside, I'm not behind him. By creating angle, I've opened my shoulders a little bit to accept the spike and to carry the man down to the inside. What we found is when he stepped up the field with an inside step, whether it was 6 inches, 2 inches, 8 inches, I don't know, he stepped inside. The guy spiked across his face. I had to turn and I chased, and there was penetration. So by stepping with angle, we stopped penetration on the front side eat block. Okay? That second step is the one where they struggle, and you'll see a guy, our left guard, our guard does it because it's the same combination inside when it goes to a 3 technique, is I ask them to try and step, and I want them to kind of stay on that angle, but if they can take that second step and stick it up the field just a little bit, so whether you're set, everybody that comes through and visits with us about the play, I get to hear how everybody else does it, and what a lot of people are doing are stepping sideways, or they're balance stepping with that inside step and then continuing on their track up the field, okay? And our only problem with that is penetration. That's why with stepping angled up the field, we're capturing the line of scrimmage. We're hoping to stop penetration, which is key for the play. So his second step's coming down, and his responsibility, he's going through the inside number with his play side shoulder. He's trying to angle step, drive through the inside number. Now, whether it's the 3rd step or on the 5th step, I don't know when it is, but at some point, we don't want to hang on this thing too long. If I'm on the inside half of this guy's step, I'm driving on the 5, and he's coming down and close. As soon as I can, now whether it's on 1, 2, and the 3rd step, or whether it ends up being 2 more steps, and I'm covering my butt because when you watch the film, sometimes we're up the film a little bit, feel a little bit further. I want him releasing on a tight track to the will linebacker. So we're hitting it and going. We got to go. The tackle's got to get gone. Why? Because the play's an A-gap play. If I hang on the front side double team and push up the field, by the time I get back to the will, the ball carrier's running the A-gap. So it's angle, step, drive, and release to the backside linebacker. His aiming point to the backside linebacker, whether it's the tackle or the tight end, is his hat is across in front of the defender. Far number. Okay? So like Kent talked about with the high backside arm, we have to be ready for the guy coming over the top. But you can never get beat going to the backside underneath. So we're not trying to build a wall here necessarily. It may happen. It may happen if the will steps up, but our aiming point is we go backside, his hat in front. So again, it should be a right shoulder block as I'm tracking down inside to my left. I want my hat in front of the will. If I can build a wall there and stop him, great. If he wants over the top, I'm going to turn and be ready to roll with him and take him that direction. I'm not going to keep working to pivot and wall up the field. Okay? And there's a couple examples on the film. I'm tracking here, hat across. He wants over the top, bang, I lock on, and I'm ready to roll with him back to the play side. If he wants to step up, my hat's in front. Now I've pinned him inside and I drive him down and wash him backside. Okay? That's the same thing for the tight end. When he comes backside, as he tracks backside to the will, same exact aiming point for him on the will linebacker. Okay? And this will speed up once I get through this thing because all the rest of it follows when we get to the 3 technique and everything else. Okay, responsibility. As I run my track here, as I'm running my track to the backside will linebacker, if anything crosses my face as the play side tackle or tight end, I block it. So as I step, that's another reason why I believe in inside footwork. I inside step, I step with my second step, a little bit angle. Mike runs through. As I track, I can block the Mike hat in front and take him across. If I step too much with if I step too far up with my outside foot, I get stuck with my second step coming down and the Mike linebacker runs through, I'm behind the run through. Second reason for the inside footwork besides the penetration and the angle of the backside. Okay? So I'm looking for the Mike run through here. Again, hat in front, although we're rethinking that a little bit, but hat in front. Again, trying to stop the penetration on the play. Okay, front side combination. I think I got everything there. Again, key point movement, second level defender. Everybody's good on that. Are there times where we clue the tackle in? One thing that we'll get a little bit here, and whether it's natural, is the tighter this tackle gets as we get the TT game with the tackle wrapping over the top on the power. There are times where we'll tell the tackle to really be sure you release quickly, and you'll pick up the T on the loop, and we'll let the will run. Okay? So he has become a factor, and there's times where they've seen it the very first time. They've seen it the first time they've gone to the will. They come to the sideline and say, do you want me to block it or do you not want me to block it when I see the T loop? And at that point, we'll have to make the decision. Okay, down block here. Initially, what we've talked about on the down block here is we're concerned about penetration of the nose. So we're like Kent had said, initially when we started the thing, we started with a upfield aiming point at the V of the neck or at the hip of the defender, okay, where we're even a little bit more plussed up the field, expecting them to key eventually, back, pull of the guard. We run the play enough, everybody's reading it and coming over the top very quick, so we blocked it for that. The problem was some guys didn't read it as quickly. We're now going to where we're more of a hat in front with the guard being ready to roll back and the back being able to press the A-gap and take the back door cuts. Everybody follow what I'm saying there? So what we're thinking a little bit more, and this won't be on the film as much because it's more of a change, is we're thinking of coming flatter with this guy here and being ready to roll with that, understanding that the back is up in there anyway. And there's some times where we're trying to hold this thing off and we're trying to run off this and he's getting soft and pushed back in and the back can't run here because the defender comes off and he can't run here because he's getting his big butt squished. Anyway, that's us. You guys don't have to worry about that. So he's down here, and we're going to block down on that guy. We're trying to build a wall. We'd like to, obviously, what we tried to do is step not as flat at the guy and build a wall here and run the play off the A-gap. Okay, on the back block here, our center now, on this thing, said it's a gap play. Tight end's responsible C-gap, tackle's responsible B-gap, guard's responsible A-gap. The center's responsible on the back block. He's responsible for the A-gap. Now, he does not have to go right now. Why? Because we hinge the backside tackle every time on the power. He hinges every time B-gap back out to the C-gap. The backside tackle is responsible B to C-gap here. His first and primary responsibility, though, is the B-gap. So as the center comes back, you'll see him on the film. He comes at an angle where I tell him, you don't have to be too flat. And they get a feel for it because what you don't want them doing is feeling they've got to come back and pick our guard. And you don't want your guard having to start gaining depth to clear the back block by the center. Okay, and when we start talking about the guard, we pull him as flat as we can pull him, and he's got all the line of scrimmage. So our center here, he doesn't post, but he just takes a little delay based on the position of the will and possible threat to the A-gap, and then he's back and building a wall in the 3. But he's responsible for the will run through in the A-gap there. He's responsible if they run the cross stunt and bring the mic over the top in the A-gap there. He's responsible if the 3 technique spikes. He's even responsible if they run the TE game with the tackle out and the end looping in the A-gap. He's got the A-gap. So as the center steps back, there's just a little delay to see that A-gap, and then he goes back to block the 3. One time this year, the guy from Minnesota got us where he split the backside. Now, the coaching point for the backside tackle is, and it's drawn up differently as we see the different fronts because I don't do a great job of drawing, is we don't want to step up on this thing. You want to step flat at worst and lose ground if necessary to make sure you get something on the 3 technique to help the center. We should never get split on the 3 technique and the center blocking back. The argument should never be the center can't get back, the 3's too wide. If the 3's too wide, the tackle should be all over him on the hinge and then back out to the end late. Okay? So those two are really in combination, and you'll see our tackles. The left tackle steps up too much. The right tackle does a better job of coming flat or possibly losing a little bit more ground. Okay? So it's lose ground back here, hinge the 3, back out to the end, center's back on the back block there. One time this year, our right tackle stepped up too much. The center came back and tried to cut the 3, and that's when we got split on the backside. Okay? Any questions up to this point on the under defense with everything else? Then we'll go to the guard. Okay, the pulling guard now. What we tell the pulling guard on the power is the pulling guard is to pull flat down the line of scrimmage. Now, this is real simple. You pull flat down the line of scrimmage and turn up in the tackle area. Period. Period. Pull flat down the line of scrimmage, turn up in the tackle area. In 3 years, I won't say never, but we've hardly ever graded the pulling guard down. Okay? When we came there 3 years ago and they said we're going to run the power, I said, great, it's a great complement to the fullback and the flat pass, the power pass. That's why we run power, because it complements the power pass. Okay? And that slowly became, we started believing a little bit different. And the reason why is I could never understand as a coach what to tell that guard, because by the time he read what was going on, he'd run across the hole and gotten too wide. He should have come around, he should have turned up, should have done this. This was real simple. You pull flat and you turn up in the tackle area. If there's any penetration, any off-color showing, you blow it up. You trap it out, you blow it up, and forget the linebackers. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So, for example, and this can happen, and we'll talk about the fullback here in a second, is, and there's a couple shots on film here where I hope it looks all right, but we're pulling flat. In this diagram here, as we start our double team here, if for whatever reason, as the tackle releases backside, there's penetration with this end on the tight end, he will blow that up. And I mean, it's a kill shot. It is knock him and the tight end and keep your feet running and drive him as far out of the running lane as you can be. Does that mean that the mic is unblocked? Maybe. Or maybe he's going to cover the fullback on the fullback in the flat pass. And sometimes he overruns the play and the play's up inside in the A-gap. Why can we do that? Because it's an A-gap play. Because it's an A-gap play where we start the back. So that's the first thing we tell the guard. It's flat, boom, turn up in the tackle area. If there's any penetration, blow it up. If there's no penetration, you're tighten around this thing up in the tackle area, your first opening in that, to turn up through on the second level defender. Okay? Once you turn up, okay, and it's flat and tight. Now, this is not what we had to correct from 2 years ago, and what we got too much of is the tight ends were doing a good enough job, and you'll see it versus the over defense, that we should have been around it and up into that area, up into that six hole, okay? But what was happening was our guards, as soon as they started to pull, started to gain into the line of scrimmage because they wanted up in that hole, and if they had to trap it, they wanted an inside-out angle. But we worked hard to stay flatter this season and not up and in the line so you could get around the thing if there is a good block by the tight end or if there is no penetration. Okay?
How do you teach them not to drift around the double team when they're changing their shoulders, and then the linebacker runs underneath from them? I can't teach that for whatever reason.
Well, the biggest thing is that they're already starting to turn up on their pull because they're not reading anything. In other words, I'm pulling with the idea of turning up right there. So whether he's going so fast, he's just such a bad athlete that which they all are, that they keep drifting. But I think what's helped our guys, we don't run across the hole very much, and I think it's because they know I'm up in this area. I know where I got to turn up, so they're beginning to turn up before when I'm reading, okay, now I got to turn up, and by the time I come under control to turn up, I've overrun the hole. I don't know. That's what I think. I don't know if that's true or not. That's the only thing I can explain it, because they don't run across the hole very much. Now, maybe whatever. So, now once we get through, we're not necessarily trying to square this guy up. As anything, when we get to the second level, if this guy is inside of us, when we turn up, we turn and pin him to the inside. If he's come over the top, we're going to take him outside. And if he's head up, we're going to butt him up and take him where he wants to go and let the back run off that. We don't know. We could be out there blocking the mic, and the back could have poured up through the A-gap or back door cut anyway. Okay? Now that's it versus the under defense. The fullback. Okay, we're up in the A-gap. The fullback's track is tight here off the outside leg of the tackle. Okay, where's that other picture? And we run this primarily out of the I, or we'll run this out of one back with the H-back motioning around in here and doing his thing. Okay, so he's tight here off the outside leg of the tackle, and he's trying to get an inside out on the Sam. This is another possible area of penetration for the pulling guard. Let's say the tight end tackle do a great job and wash that end clear across the nose. Now as that pulling guard comes, the Sam linebacker is going to wrong arm that fullback and force that thing to the outside. Now our guard's not trying to get around that penetration. There's penetration here. I'm flat down the line. There's penetration. Me and the Sam and the fullback are meeting right there. and we're going to blow that Sam linebacker and knock him clear out. Where's the Mike going on the pinch scrape? Mike's outside anyway. We're going to solidify the inside, kick out the end, and run the play inside, not even block the Mike linebacker. So we're not going outside on the wrong arm. On the wrong arm on the Sam, we're kicking out the Sam and up. If he comes so flat, which Pittsburgh did a little bit this year to us, he comes so flat and tight, now there comes a time when we've got to get our fullback on him a little bit quicker, hopefully stop. If he's coming that flat, there's not going to be that much penetration, and then possibly get the guard all the way around it. But there's no read for him. It's flat. Is there any penetration? No, I'm turning up. Fullback, tight, I'm on track. I'm on track off the tackle, off the tackle's outside leg, kicking inside out on the Sam linebacker. Any other questions there on that defense? Okay. No, we get all the ball we can, every snap if we can. We try and get up on the ball as much as we can, guards up on the ball, tackles everybody up, capture line of scrimmage, lead step, come off the ball, no penetration. We're up on the ball. Any other questions? Don't ask me why, we are. Okay, over defense, over front. Okay, let's talk about over, whether will's on or will off, bad diagram, drop step A gap, bad diagram, flat or depth, back out here to the B to C gap. Okay, now, the tight end. The tight end's on a track to the backside linebacker, okay? The tight end now versus Sam off the ball. Sam's off the ball, over fronts. He's responsible for the Mike linebackers he releases. Okay, he's responsible for the Mike. All right, now as the tight end tracks. This is where our guys did the best job. This is the most difficult block. We'll talk some people out of power. It talks us into checking our power game by shifting or stemming the tight end to try and get us to the 5 and the 9 as opposed to the 7 and the 3 technique. Okay, but as far as that goes, our tight end now, what we want to purely track him through the inside number on an angle back to the Mike linebacker. Now, if he's got a clear shot, if he's got a head-up technique to an outside shade technique on him, obviously he's going to take an angle to the Mike linebacker that puts his face to the backside number, hat in front, make the guys come out over the top on the power. If the guy gets to be head up, I want to take that little angle, step to the inside, and try and drive on that angle through the inside number to where if the end wants in, I'm able to carry him to the inside with as little penetration as possible. Now, this is a tremendous mismatch with our tight ends and tackle, or the tight end of the defensive end. But the thing that we don't want is any hesitation out of the tight end as to what he's trying to do. I don't want to take a step and wait and see what the defensive end is going to do so I can determine whether I'm going to try and bim him to the inside and see if we'll run around or not. The most deterring factor to get your tight end's butt off the ball and going on track is the fact that if his big butt is sitting at the line of scrimmage in a penetrating position for the guard traps the tight end. Now, you'd like them to come around it, but they get hit in the ribs enough, they will come off the ball and make sure they get through or make that thing clear enough for the guard. And then they get hit some on this play. So again, it's a track through the inside number. You can't do it on these diagrams, but he's head up. He's trying to track slightly to the inside through the inside number and take his release back to the Mike linebacker. If that end crosses his face or comes with him, he's trying to close with the backside arm and carry the Mike inside on the angle he finds him. If the end jumps to the outside, I stay in my track to the Mike. Okay, a lot easier said than done. You all know that. That's our footwork. That's our angle. If the guy's in a wide 9, he's gone. If a guy's head up, he's trying to angle. If a guy's in a 7 technique or inside shade, he's just like we would teach him on a backside cutoff block, okay? We're not trying to jump inside in our cutoffs. We're trying to drive cutoff on the backside. So the guy's in an inside eye technique. I'm going to take whatever angle possible to get my face to the inside number and drive the guy down at that angle. Now, when he's in a 7, are we going to have a blow up with the guard? Probably. And based upon how we feel with our matchup between our tight end and our 7 technique that week, how they play it and how they do it, that may be a time for us to check the play and not run it into the 7 if we can help it. Okay? That's the tight end. Tackle guard, everything I just told you about the tackle and tight end is the same exact techniques. The tackle technique is the same as the tight end technique. It's the same combination. He's working his hat to the front side number, driving, pushing on the angle to the backside will. The guard is here, 1, 2, third step. This is where we've done the worst job all time. All time, because on this front there's some backdoor cuts to be had on this play, and we don't get there because our guard hangs too long on the double. He's trying to step, and especially our right guard sits here and waits for the will to come to him. His big butt is in the A gap. He's got to go. We have got to get this 3 technique out of here. We got to get him across the A-gap, or if he wants to hold, we got to get the guard going back to the will, because the play is going to, if the three fights out, we got to get the guard back here to this will linebacker as quickly as we can. So if there's a major problem for us, it's the same as the tackle, but it's even more important here for this guard because it's right at the point of the attack. It's a slight angle step up through the inside number, and I'm saying third step. That's, I don't know, that may just be up here, but he's releasing then back to the will linebacker again, trying to go hat in front. He's a little more apt to build the wall, but again, you don't want to get undercut here. And there's a couple shots on film where we take the backdoor cut here because the nose overplays the center's back block with the guard pulling, and there's a huge backdoor cut on the power play. So the guard's got to go, and on the tape, the will stands there and makes the tackle for a 3-yard gain. All right? Backside, the center still has this. The center does a couple different things. They're good enough at seeing it, but early, at least the first snap or two of the game, he will try at times, depending upon who the guy is and what he does, if he's really will jump, if he sticks his hat way front side to try to get him to bite a little bit there and then build the wall up the field, the center may do that at times. Most of the time, he plays for the guy to make the read and play across his face, attacks upfield here, front side near hip, and builds a wall there. Weak point of the play, in my opinion, whether we run some short trap last year a little bit, or whether it's the power and you're running in the A-gap like we are, the center ends up, especially our guy, getting pushed back into that A-gap and squeezing the running lane a little bit. That's why it's real important for us. If he can get pushed back into the wash of the 3 technique, and we run that thing in the B-gap, if we wash the 3, we've done our job. The key thing for that 3, and when I know we're doing it well, whether it's the 5 or the 3, is they ought to feel like this is backside zone, inside zone, or not outside, look more like backside of inside zone, and he's trying to get in the hip of the guard and split the double team. That's what you want him to see. We tried to play those guys from Seattle 3 years ago when we were in orange uniforms, and we got these 2 huge guys playing 3s, and we had Jim Pine, the left guard at 290 and our left tackle at 290. They're stepping outside, inside foot together on the double team here, and those big suckers just sat there and went nowhere. We got no movement. We couldn't run the B gap, okay? And then the guard released to go the will, just like I coached him to do, and then the big guy just stepped forward and is standing right there in the A gap and tackled the back for no gain, okay? We got to create movement. Get them to go. Get them to go. Dotson at Green Bay does a great job of splitting the double team. If you show him double team, he's sitting down, turning, and splitting your double team. So you can't show him that. Make him run the backside. Think he's seeing backside zone. Okay? Backside tackle, still B-gap hinges for the possible micro will run through here. And if there's no run through, he checks back out to the C gap. Guard still pulls. Do we tell the guard anything? No. Do they cheat and say, I've got a bubble on me, I've got a possible 7 and a blow up where I may have to get around? I hope not. I hope not. I hope they're not looking at the front and predetermining what's happening on the other side. Pull flat, turn up in the tackle area. If there's any penetration, blow it up. Pull flat, right, turn up in the tackle area. If there's any penetration, blow it up. Okay, any questions on the over defense? Tight end, fullback? Fullback, go ahead, question. Same thing. Against the tilt, that guy will still, that's what I'm saying. If he's got the cock nose here, he may throw his hat all the way backside number, you know what I'm saying? And then try and build the wall this way by the time the guy recognizes. But they will still try and cross face on us when they see the center and then the guard pull. He'll try and jump across or hold off that A-gap a little bit. Okay, question right there.
What's the coordination with the back and the pulling guard when the tight end blocks the 7, if in fact the guy lines up?
Right, you're talking about the fullback?
Fullback and the pulling guard, when the end is in the 7, and you determine what the tight end blocks.
Right, he's going to block the 7. We've talked about easy releasing them and all that stuff. We'd rather check the play as opposed to do that. But okay, so now what we're saying is that tight end he's tracking through the 7 and we'll probably end up blocking him. So he's either going to carry him down and get an A+ grade, or he's going to get blown up by the guard because the 7 penetrates. The fullback on his track with the 7 technique, that thing's going to be inside. The fullback's going to stay on track right through that area and block any off color that shows. So if the end were sticking out, he'd carry the end as he runs through. If the end jumped outside, he'd blow up the end and kick him out. If nothing shows up, he stays on track, thinking Sam linebacker looking inside out first. And at times they'll see a safety start cheating down, cheat to the safety. We want to stay tighter on that track. If nothing shows up, look for the Sam linebacker. The guard's never changed. The guard's flat, turn up in the tackle area, any penetration, blow it up. That doesn't answer your question from the way you're looking at me. Did you get it or what? You think so? Okay. Right there. No, but if we did, it would be the same pull. If we did, it would be the same pull and blow it up or turn up. In the back? I'm not repeating these questions. I'm sorry. Does the guard gain ground on his first step? Yes, he does, but I'm saying that, we practice every day in our stance and starts. We're always practicing pulling, and much like Kent, we're not talking about jerking the arm. I want him, whether it's a pivot, if he can gain a little ground, that's great. Whether it's a pivot and a crossover, I want him going flat, that direction. So however you're going to get in that direction, I don't want him so worried about gaining ground that he's losing ground. Right? So whatever he has to do, whether it's a pivot or whether it's a short step, whether he can open and turn, but I want his shoulders turned flat and running down that line of scrimmage, ready to turn up as quick as he can. Any other questions? Yeah, right here.
Besides sometimes that 7 technique, is there anything else that dictates you getting out of that play and running something else?
The only other thing, the front that we don't like is when they cover everybody up strong side on the power. When they cover up the guard, the tackle, and the tight end, and we've got to double down. You've got to make a decision whether you're going to double down or double the 5 technique and how you're going to block that play. And that play's given us, and that's when we finally came to, that's when we put in, because we didn't run the stretch play until 3 games into our second year there. That's when we got the back that ran it pretty good, so we put it in, Green Bay played it, and we started running the stretch play a little bit more because in that front we couldn't just, we were jamming the power up in there the year before, and we got going along, and it just wasn't as good against that front. We said, hey, we may not package it, but if a team's heavy in that and certain downs, we're going to call more outside zone than we will the power play. Yeah.
You have a 7 technique and an overhand player on the line of scrimmage. You ever take your tight end outside and try to kick the 7 out?
We've done it some, and it's never been as successful. I mean, we even did it, the coordination, we've done it some, but we do it on other plays. We're going to still try and go inside and go, and there's a Detroit, our matchup with their ends and our tight ends has never been good, and that's where we messed with it, and it's been very average. Teams that play us a lot, they're trying to stop the fullback in the flat pass and the power pass because we don't throw the ball down the field very well for whatever reason. They'll hang the mic inside, so now our guard ends up blowing up the end on the 7 technique. The fullback tracks outside for the Sam, and the Mike linebacker's just sitting in the hole right there. The question was, do you ever easy release the tight end and on a different look, and we don't. We have, and it hasn't been any good. There was another question? Any more?
Perhaps I missed it, but what are you telling the tailback?
Be a runner. The running back drop steps and runs in the A gap. His responsibility is to run inside the guard's block. That's all we tell him. You press the A gap, run inside the guard's block. And there's that time where we don't ever say it, but there isn't any place to run inside the guard's block where it naturally takes him to the outside. Because they've stepped up in all the gaps, filled all the gaps, the guard naturally just comes around the corner for the Mike linebacker, and we end up taking the ball outside. I'll show you that on film. So the ball carrier, that's why they get mad. Because they see it outside. It's coming outside, and it's going to be a big play. It's going to go outside. For as much as all this talk about A-gap, it's coming inside. It's drop step, press A, and then it's going to be inside the guard. The guard turns up, bam, I'm going to run inside the guard's block. But I'm going to run inside the guard's block until what? Until the guard turns up and the mic's inside, he pins him inside. I'm going to be a ball carrier and bounce outside. All of a sudden, everything closes. I come around. The Sam or Mike linebacker scrapes outside. I kick him out. Ball. It's beautiful. That's just like we coached inside the guard's block. Until what? The Mike hangs inside. He has to pin him, and then the back's all the way outside.
Do you change the depth of the tailback based upon his talent?
Not that I know of. They're at the normal, whatever, the toes at 7 yards. Fullback's toes are at 5, and we go down the road. You might see him deeper. He might be 8, or, they'll start cheating back a little bit, maybe. Okay. No. For example, if he's not getting through for the mic, then the guy that's going to block the mic is probably the pulling guard. So we'll stay on our front side combination here back to the will. The tight end ends up on the 7. The Sam steps outside with the hard 7, or should start to step out there. The fullback's on the Sam. Then our old guard's either blowing up on the 7 or he's blocking the Mike linebacker. Yeah.
Why did you decide to change from reversing out to fronting out?
Yeah, I don't know. That's something they did 2 days before camp last year and said, yeah, I think we're going to call it 6 and 7 and we're going to open. I think they thought it made it look a little bit more because I think we reverse out when we're running zone this way. So with the little counter action by the back, it kind of ties in with the back. It made it a little bit harder to clear the A gap for the back. In other words, the quarterback opening out, he really has to work hard to open that A gap for the back, as opposed to when he reversed out, it was a lot easier to open up the A gap. So it took some work, but our guy, the quarterback coach, thought it was good, so he did it. Go ahead over here.
Coach, do you like it against Bear, and how do you block it?
Do you like it against Bear, and how do you like it against Bear? Don't really like it against Bear that much because there's an extra guy backside. I've got it here. I'll go over it. I'll go over it right now. It's not a very good play against the Bear to the strong side. We've blocked it 2 different ways against the Bear. There's an unblocked guy, the backside inside guy. We've messed with taking the tackle through for him. I'm just not going to go through it a bunch. We're blocking back and down. We're blocking back here. We make a down call here because we can no longer run combination. We've got to make a determination here whether we want to block this guy man on and try and carry and wash that guy if he's in man coverage. Wash him down with us, trying to carry him all the way to the backside linebacker. See what I'm saying here? If you could take that guy and carry him, but it doesn't happen. It's pretend that we're going to run through here and try and block him back off through that way because he's in man coverage and carry him with us, trying to block 2 with 1 right here. Or do you turn him out, kick that guy out with the fullback, in which case then this guy's unblocked altogether. That when we played Tennessee this year, they played a lot of front that looked like this, whether it was the Bear front or something else, and that guy was making the tackle for a 4-yard gain, sometimes a 3-yard gain. Sometimes we broke we broke a tackle or made a miss and ran for about 10. That's a guy that's unblocked. Did we mess with taking this tackle and this guy working a combination now? You 2 got those 2 and let him go up the field. Yeah. Have we talked about doing it? Yes. Do we ever do it? We don't ever practice it enough. If we got a steady diet of that stuff, we'd probably have to do something to let the backside end go. Okay? That's the answer on the Bear.
Did you ever try double with 3 critics? Flipping the backside through the tackle, which we probably can't do.
No, we stayed with the rules. We talked through all those things and just decided let's just leave it the same, block the rules as is, and if it's 8-man front, it's 8-man front. We feel so good about the backs, and hey, if we get them, we get them. If we don't, we don't. And we even did a little bit where we would move the Z against the Tennessee team last year, where we took the Z across here to go block that guy on the backside, send him through. Now the corner, the 9th guy's the extra guy, and we had a little bit of success with that. Okay, another question over here in the corner. I'm sorry. Sam run through on the over front. I better just get a different sheet here. Sam over on the, no, because if the Sam's running through, our tight end's on track. So if they're going to run the Sam through the C, is that the C gap? Yeah, the C gap, and he's stepping inside, the end should be jumping out. Now, is that hard? Yeah, I don't want to get into all that here, because what happens now on some of these zone dogs is the flatness at which the defenders jump outside. Are they playing your down block, or is he really jumping outside to play the D gap? Do I continue through, or do I turn back out now on the 7 technique? And that's a big discussion that we've had, and it's a matter of whether we engage them or don't, and that's exceptions. But in theory, you're tracking down. If the Sam's running through, I've got him. If he runs through the B gap, then hopefully he gets washed up with the tackle guard double team. Any other questions? Yeah, right there again. Power pass? That wasn't on the itinerary, so I don't know if I can do that or not. But no, I'd be happy to. I'll do it afterwards if you want to, as opposed to that. Any other questions? I know my glasses on, so if you got your hand up, okay. All right, so that's the over and the under. I've kind of touched on this briefly, and I want to go over 2 fronts here real quick before we put on some tape and see them doing, hopefully, what we coach them on the power. Okay, the 3-4 front or the 50 defense here for us. Again, the combination is the same. This is a really good play for us because a lot of the teams that are in the 3-4 are a zone dog team, so it allows us a chance to block the gaps and to be able to pick up the zone dogs. And there's a couple shots in here against Pittsburgh and against Cincinnati that do a lot of that stuff this year. We're fortunate to be able to pick up the gaps a little bit and block it that way. Front side double team combination stays the same. Again, the more 2-gap they are, the more, if they are a 2-gap 3-4 team, the more angle we want to try and create to try and get them to read and to flow with us. We really want to wash and carry. Is there a time where we try and knock him across the tackle and the tight end carry through? Yeah, you can mess with this double team any way you want to. But again, we're trying to work double team backside now to the backside linebacker here, the 3rd linebacker back in this defense. They're working to the Mike linebacker in a 3-4. Okay, the hinge now, down here, we're down here on the nose. The center actually does punch this nose a little bit now in the 3-4. He still makes a back call. He's still telling the play side guard he's blocking back onto the backside end. He's going to stick that guy and start to work back. He's going to let the guard clear, probably gain a little bit of depth if he needs to come get this in. The tackle is still B-gap hinge, potential Mike run through in the B-gap because of all the zone dogs. We don't know if the nose is coming there, the Ted's coming back there. However they run the cross stunt inside, a little bit of hinge for the B-gap, but if nothing's coming through the B-gap, then I'm hinging back out here again to my C-gap, probably the will or the end if he rushes outside to contain. Okay, and the center comes back. A little bit of delay here by the center. They've got to be ready to pick up the gaps. It's a little bit softer versus the 3-4 inside because of the potentials of the stunts and everything else on the 3-4. Again, here, same thing, no change with the fullback there on the kick out. This is where we're apt to get a little more wrong arm stuff and go from there. One thing here that I didn't talk about on the, I was blocking a game, but if you, this is really good for us, and it was better for us versus, okay, our defense does a fair amount of that. Again, as a gap play, sometimes the tight end ends up on that guy on this stunt right here where the end flashes, the Ted's outside, the Sam's outside wide, the fullback's running track here. There's times where the fullback ends up on that guy, and ideally would we like him? Yeah, there's times where that linebacker comes so flat and so wide that he just ends up to continue to track backside to the Mike, and the fullback on his track kicks out the inside backer, and the Sam is free to the outside. So it's track blocking. That fullback's responsible, and that it just outside that tight end's block, it could be the Sam. He could kick out that guy, or he could end up kicking out the Sam linebacker. So he's not necessarily on the Sam. If they don't run this stunt and the Sam comes flat to wrong arm, we've talked about that. He's trying to kick him out. If he comes so flat that he can't, he's trying to stop penetration, which is hard obviously from the eye. He can't do it. When we feel a team is real big on the wrong arm and really flat with it, two things are good. We like the fullback in the flat pass. The second thing is we like to run out of one back more, where now we take the H-back and motion him over here and get him on the guy just a little bit quicker so we can get our guard outside and around on the power play. Okay? Question?
Do the same concept with the play side tackle. If the Ted back across that play side tackle's face,
Right.
he'll take him.
He'll take him.
Your backside guard will.
He's going to turn up, and he's going to look inside out. So as he pulls flat, turn up in the tackler. Any penetration, blow it up. As I turn up the second level, I'm looking inside out.
He won't blow the end up with your tight end.
Depends on what the tight end's doing. If the tight end's doing a great job and is knocking him off the ball a little bit or flattening him down the line of scrimmage, just enough that our guard can stay flat and get around it, then he'll be up inside looking for the Mike coming over the top, or I don't know, somebody showing up. If there is penetration, he'll blow up the end. And he might be standing there unblocked, okay, but that's the way it goes. Any other questions? I'm sorry I didn't repeat that question. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let me see. There was one other front here. On the, okay, here's the front that we asked about earlier that we don't like to play against. Okay. Anytime we get any form of even front to the front side where everybody's covered off, obviously we started 2 years ago, we saw more inside shade from this front, and so we ended up trying to base block the guard and double team the tackle tight end and had some decent success with it. But again, that year it wore on our guards. The bigger the guys got, the harder it got. We decided to say, forget it. We're going to go with the double team inside, where we'll double a tag here to call the tight end down, where now the tight end has to block the defensive end down. The O guard pulls around and turns up. Everything else. The problem is here, obviously, our down block by our tight end is very difficult. A lot of times it ends up with a blow up here with the guard and tight end, and the Mike linebacker standing right there in the B gap to make the play. He's not racing and overrunning for whatever they're doing on rotation to go cover our flat pass. So we end up with the Mike standing in the hole, and it's a 2-yard gain. It's not very good. If we can cheat, if there's a team that will shade that tackle in a inside technique, we will let the guard give a look, and it's hard on the guard like he's trying to backside cut off to try and create some movement away from the play side and let that guard just wall the inside shade, and then we'll keep our double team on right here on the eat back to the backside linebacker. Okay? Back block hinge, everything's the same on the backside, everything's the same for the fullback and the guard. The biggest thing is determination that week whether they need to block down or turn back out. That's the whole thing. Question over here? The question is, do you ever switch and pull the backside tackle? And the answer is no. We just pull the guard, and the tackle hinges. Any other question? I saw, was there one other hand? Okay, so that's the even front. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. We talked about the bare front. And then this one right here. One last front, just take a look at it. This front is actually a time when we talked about it where we actually checked to a play. Green Bay would give us either the flattened off even, where everybody was covered to the front side, or they'd give us the three backers off the ball based for whatever reason they did. So there was times where we would actually, versus this defense, they'd play this front side end in a wide 9 technique, okay, out here, where we would just check to power. And if they played us the flattened off even front, we'd check to the outside zone. We packaged the 2 plays to try and get the best of both worlds because we didn't like the power against the even front, and we didn't like the outside zone play against number 92 here. Our matchup with the tight end on that, whether it was a double team zone or whether we blocked down with the tackle and pulled the guard on the outside zone. So we changed this up so with the 9 now we could get clean shots through here, get a little bit of movement, and still press the A gap with the play there on the power, trying to create some movement. Again, here. But no changes here, right? No changes here. Yes?
What's wrong with the guard going up in the hole and blowing the hole up on the trap angle? So we had the problem with parallel pull, like Moss is walking around.
Right. And here was our problem, and maybe we're going to fall back into the problem you're talking about. The question was, what's wrong with the guard pulling and getting up into the hole right now to blow that thing up as opposed to flat like I'm talking about? And what we found here, Jim, was what we thought, again, was that what the guard ended up doing, and it's because they weren't, maybe our guys aren't, I hate saying that, I don't want to say they're not good enough, but they didn't adjust well, is that when he started pulling up in the hole, and there's a good picture, what we found 2 years ago is our guards were blocking the tight end. And when they started getting in the hole, the tight end was actually doing a good job. And he actually had a little movement, and there wasn't penetration. If you drew that line, if you freeze framed that thing and drew that line flat down the line, his feet were no longer on, they were past the ball. The tight end's feet were past the ball. But our guard, as he started digging in, was trying to get around, but because the tight end, and he was hitting the tight end. And he'd done a good enough job on the end that he could have really dug in and tried to dig it out more, but we wanted him around when you looked at the play. And we ran into the tight end, and the play bored up in the A gap, and he blocked the end and the tight end, and we said, if we can get this play outside, we got to play. And we went from, I hate this, we went from 2-9 to 4-3 on the play, and it's primarily because our little back ran like 2 50-yarders, but they were outside, and we got our guards around better this year. And I don't know. We'll look at the tape and see, but that's why we don't. That's why we backed him off a little bit and pulled him flatter this year. Any other questions on that? I love this play, and I'm going to show you one thing that we do here before I put on the film. And the reason I like it is that guard. It's a really good play. It's the one play where we really can come off on angles, get on guys, take them. I mean, we can come off and hit people. I mean, we can come off, be confident of our angles, be confident of our getting off the football. The guard can pull with no freaking hesitation. It's a blow up. He can take the whole pile and knock it over the Sam linebacker. What our guards, as they run this play more, and what you'll find the guard doing is as he pulls flat, if the tight end's just doing an okay job, because there's gray areas and everything, that guard can turn up as he starts to think to blow it up, and he actually runs through the end on his way up to the Mike linebacker. Now that sounds like clinic talk, but that's not something that we even coach. We coach to blow it up, and he's pulling flat, and the tight ends, he can see that there's too much penetration to get around because he's not ever supposed to gain depth. He's pulling flat. He starts to turn up and feels that end start to leak off the tight end. He'll run through it with his right shoulder as he turns up for the inside linebacker. And there's that, and that's been those are from free agents in preseason all the way through the guys that do it every day. I mean, they've done that. It just kind of happens. What we do when we drill this stuff, just so you guys know, for everybody, what we do is everything we do, we start off with a stance and start period every day where we're just working on our basic steps, stance and starts. Then we go to all our one-on-one individual blocks. Like Ken had talked about blocking linebackers. We'll work on our down blocks with the guys trying to cross their face, just in a one-on-one setting. Set up 2 guys going at a time. That's on the drill tape. Little plug for the video guy, that's on the drill tape in there. Then the next thing is then we'll go to 2-on-2 combinations. And the great thing about this in the off season and what we do, it doesn't matter to me. For example, we can have the tackles, guards, and tight ends out here, and I can put a guy here, and we can put a guy here, and we can say this is power, Okay, and for all right side linemen, it's all the same. Tackle guard, tackle tight end, they can work this combination backside. So we work our 2-on-2 combination where we're just working that very thing right there, that thing with the spike, the linebacker coming over the top, aiming point to the backside linebacker. So we drill that 2-on-2. The only other thing I do, and this is post-practice for the guards, is we do give the guards just a little bit of read where they'll work on pulling flat, and some guy like me will stand at the end of the line and he'll either show penetration to blow up or he'll step flat to give that guard a chance to come around on his pull and read it. Other than that, we will work a half-line drill at times with the tight end, tackle, guard, center, and backside guard. It's not really half-line, it's everybody but the backside tackle. But again, working the front-side combinations, hearing the calls, doing everything else. The nice thing is we do this a lot, so it's a play that we rep over and over and over and over again on those things. Okay? Any questions there? Again, I'm sorry. Anything? All right, let's look at some tape. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Okay. I don't know all the examples I have on here. Again, I'd be happy to answer any questions you agree or disagree. I'd love to talk about it. It helps me. Okay, first thing, Jim, if you can. 3-4 defense here. Okay, here's our back, our center. You can see with the little post looking backside. Back to the B gap right here. The tackle hinges. He always steps up a little bit. Okay, here's the double team front side. We're working back to the backside linebacker here. Okay, see the front side tackle. See if he creates a little bit of angle with his inside foot right there. Creates a little bit of angle. Down block, wash, tight end fits tight. And against the 50, we talked about the 3-4. We tried to get him over the top a little bit more with the tackle. Take this thing a little bit wider. Watch the back. That's pretty much inside leg of the guard, A-gap right there. There's the A-gap. He's right off that hash. Okay, here's the kick out with the H, inside out. Nice pull and turn up by the guard here. Now this is the guard. This is a backup guard that he is. You can't see it here. And I thought about putting the side. He's digging into the line. See this here? He's taking 2 steps and up inside, and there'll be a cut later in here where he ends up running into the tight end or the tackle and knocking them off their block. If you want me to run it back or have a question about that play, just stop me. Hold on just a second here. Okay, I'll run it back. Okay, not a lot of room in there. Okay. No, it's the other thing. Okay. Here we go, front side tackle now. I think he's too flat. Okay, see his second step on the crossover? Now, I don't know if he's thinking there's something else going on, run through, whatever it is, but I think he's too flat. He needs to create a little more angle here. Okay, a year ago, watch the guard here pull. See how he's on the line? A year ago, we would have blocked 83. Now, would it have been as good a play? I don't know, okay? But it's here. Guard again, here's that upfield aiming point that we talk about. He gets beat across his face. No, not on the, yeah, he does. He gets beat back door. He's got to keep the pressure on. This happened more this year. Again, it's just not a good job. Doesn't bring his second foot and other things, okay? But finish backside. 8th man should be the only guy left to make this play if we just build a wall on the nose. Off guard is good, pulling flat and through. Backside hinge is flat. Now, again, this gets hard for these guys. Nice job here for the center. He's got the backside A-gap run through. The tackle sees the run through, so he knows he's staying on the end here. With this game and the will coming over the top, we'd expect him to see that and get to that guy. Okay? But that comes with time. This play was a better average play against the 8-man front than it was against the 7-man front. It's what we think, because our defense is a big 8-man front, insert the 8th guy in the front. This is a hard play for them to fit their spills. You know, you're supposed to spill to the safety this way, backer. Now you run lead, draw strong, they spill it every time. You run zone, inside zone, outside zone, they spill it right every time. You start running the power and taking them on angles, I think it's difficult sometimes for them to have their fits.
Do you ever change the head placement on the foot?
To outside? No. Well, yeah, if the guy goes inside of his track, So, for example, if he comes so flat that he's across the track, then you will pin him inside and try and stop penetration, hoping it comes around. He won't. No, he stays on track. He doesn't keep bending inside. Yeah. I'm sorry. Him? This one, which tackle, Jim? Backside tackle. When does he pick up that run through? He'd pick up that run through in the B gap. Okay, initially he'd think B gap run through, and he thinks primarily worried about that B gap run through in a whether it be an under defense and the three spikes and the guy runs through, or if it's an over defense and he knows the center's not coming all the way back for the end, then he's looking at the mic for the run through. Where in the 3-4 defense, we know this team's 3-4. Right. That's the center picks that up, right? If it's the over defense, the center's on the nose, the backside tackle has the run through on the mic. Okay, Jacksonville under defense now. Wide 5, okay? Shouldn't step outside, a little bit of angle with the inside step. That's pretty good by the front side tackle. Now go. He's not a real strong, forceful guy. You'd like him to be lower, drive, and now go backside and build this backside wall underneath 51. Don't let him undercut you. Go get him. Let him come over the top. There's a nice backdoor cut, which we get later on this tape. Tight end should fit and push, down, good. Okay, nice job here on the kick out, inside out, it's easy. Down block here, hold off the point. Could be stronger front side. Turn the can or whatever we talked about with Ken there. Here's the hinge on the 3. Be very focused on the backside now. Remember, this tackle on the hinge is looking at 51. If 51 runs through, there's an example here shortly. He's got to stay on the 3 and the center has to block the run through. If the 3 spikes and 51 runs the B gap, he's got that and we let the end go. Nice job here. Just come back and get a piece on him. Flat with the guard. Turn up, take him as you find him. Here he doesn't get his feet underneath him, gets run off. This is fine. Do you like this play? Yes. Z's responsible for first force. Didn't even talk about him. Z's responsible for first force here. He comes in and blocks the safety corner's got to make the tackle. We like our chances on that. Same thing, same look. Now, I think this is in for the tackle. Let me see here. Yes. Okay, and we all know this guy's not a great change of direction guy, okay? Jerry Wunsch. Angle, second step, hat across, turn out with this guy. Okay, so we're trying to go hat across, protect the A-gap, come back out. There's the A-gap. Safety unblocked. That's okay. Back block here, down. Nice job here by the right guard. This is one thing that this guy can bring. I think he needs to work more on his inside step. He rolls under himself too much, but he can create a running lane in there on his down blocks and has done it before. He does a nice job. Most of our guys are just building a wall. Okay, here's the back. Here's the hinge. Nice job here at center. He's overextended, getting aware here for the backside end, folding over. Let's see the pulling guard here. Blow up. Probably turned up in the hole a little bit here, but read it as penetration, blew it up, and we're up inside. Safety's got to make the play. Here they come inside trying to get the safety, 8th man. Now again, here we're trying to get 81 somehow to get back and around through here to get on our force. Not quite. Again, if you have a question, holler, because I'm not looking out there. Okay, here we go. Here's the will run through backside. Now, this can be done 2 different ways, okay? And if you see it coming, you'll see another shot here where this guy has the freedom to come down and just pull flat and chop the backside 3 if you get the will run through. Here the center sees the run through. He delays, holds, blocks it. Tackle hinges, blocks the 3. Good. Now, front side tackle, this is a nice job. He's getting held here a little bit. He angle steps, a little bit too much drop for me. Get upfield, steps down, drive. Now go. Just because Will runs through, the guy that you may pick up is the end coming back over the top or possibly the safety or somebody coming down in coverage backside. Just because the Will runs through or the Will is removed, don't stop on your track to the backside. Keep going. Yes?
Did you say earlier you prefer the right tackle to go a little more direct at the end here?
I'd like this foot, all I said was to go upfield more, not more at him. I want to go up but not out. I want to go up the field with the second step but not ever out into him. So never step out on the power. It's a slight angle up the field inside, then almost straight up the field with that second step. All you're trying to do, I think, Coach Jim, what he asked is, where does he want this second step? Does he want it more out at him or up the field? Just don't Don't vacate the C gap for the tight end. By just a little bit of an angle, you help yourself on the spike, bring your second step down, so at least there's some body there to help him initially. Just don't step out. Go ahead.
That unless he plays into you where you can get a good double, that you're going to always leave the tight end after the second step.
I would say that. The question is, would you always leave the tight end after the second step? All things being equal, is that what you would tell the tackle? And I'd say that's going to happen most of the time based on how wide the 5 technique plays. Pretty good job here by the guard. The fullback stays on track tight, which early in the year he would have turned out and blocked that guy, which wasn't good. Okay? They're trying to run an end Sam game here. The fullback stays on track. The guard stays on track. We just keep running. Power, keep running. Stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, and get up in there. Great thing to do with a 160-pound back, right? Okay, let's see this. Here's the Will run through again. Now, he gotten beat on the play before. We had a chance for a big play about 3 plays earlier. Will in the A-gap, for whatever reason, he did not come down and block the 3 technique on the hinge. Here he sees it. He pulls flat and cuts him down. Legal block. Center blocks back. I don't like him going down there, but he does. Guard comes down. Again, here's a 3-4 team where now we're building a wall here, down, trying to knock him maybe across a little bit. There's the wall to the backside. Safety's getting through here on force. Here's the guard taking the mic as he finds him. Run the safeties over. Nice job backside here. This is not something that we practice a whole bunch. We talk about it, we walk through it, and I don't think you've seen it here twice. That's probably the only 2 times it happened. We ran the play close to 80 times this year, and I think it happened twice. Sorry if I'm in your way here. I apologize. Okay, here we go with the 3. Front side now, we're running a tag. Here's the tight end's got to carry. Second step comes too far across. This is a tough technique here. The hardest thing for the tight ends is you start to angle or you take too big an angle inside and the guy plays your back shoulder and just flattens you and runs you down the line of scrimmage. You've got to be thick enough through this guy on your angle and with your backside shoulder down, ready to carry with the backside arm across. Too much of a gray area here, so the guard has to blow it up. Watch the guard here. He never goes. This guy never goes. He never goes. He never goes. He's got to go, go, go. He's getting held a little bit on this one, but if you watched all these plays for the last 2 years, he doesn't ever go. He wants to lean out into this double team, which is not what we talk about. Hard-headed. Go ahead. What? I still want enough angle. See, I don't like that. That guy spikes inside, and he gets beat inside 3 or 4 times this year because he steps up the field with his inside foot. The guy goes flat on the spike, and he's behind him, and we got penetration right in the A-gap. Still create angle. We want him thinking backside zone, get on the guard's hip, and let the tackle. When we go against our defense in camp, and they're even wider and up the field, we'll take the 3 all the way across the center. And that's what we'd like to do, almost on the line of scrimmage, but we really try and wash that 3. And they're too far out. They're too much double team here. And for my liking. I mean, it's not enough movement. That's the problem with the play. Because here we've got the blow up, we've got the mic overrunning it, but we're not creating enough surge in that direction, this direction, big boy, not that direction, this direction, so we can run, kick out right there. Now we've got a running lane up in there. Now that back's got to run a tightrope through there to get 3 or 4 yards. Here's the center, sticks his hat, tries to big arm, throw him back, and hold off the point. Okay, it's tough by the tight end there. There's some better looks on the tight end coming up. Okay, here's the over again. Guards, front side guard's wrong again. Now, he's trying to create angle, but his second step's too far across. He's a little bit looser. New York grabs all the time, and so he was getting grabbed and not getting off to the will ever, so he started stepping across a little bit more. It's understandable. I don't know if it's acceptable. Be down lower and drive. We'll just take the 3 for a ride. He's wrong. He's going to the mic. Track back to the Will. Even though Will's here and coming, he's thinking, well, Will's on the line and he's extra. I'll just come off on the mic linebacker. Keep going. Come down here and get a corner or a safety. If he's up the field, we'll run past him. He ain't making the play. Get out of here and let us wash the dadgum 3. Nice job here by number 70. Okay, trying to get his hat on the number, could gain a little more ground with the first step, drive that thing down, nice foot, keeps his feet moving, drives him across, lets us run it. Nice job here by the tight end. His hat could be maybe, I don't know, again, he might be on track and the guy tries to come under. Excellent job by 82.
What's the first step for the place side tackle? What's his first step?
The play side tackle should gain a little bit more ground on that angle. His face has got to go on that near number. So he wants to gain ground on a short angle step to open his hips and turn to put his face on that number. So whatever that angle is, that's the steps of the front side tackle. Kick out, turn up. Nice job here. Find it where you see it, where you turn up. Bam, bam. Make this do something. Do something.
You run the counterplay with the same mentality?
If we did, we would, but we don't. Did you understand that? The question was, do you run the counterplay with the same mentality? And if we did run the counterplay, we would use the same mentality, but we don't run the counterplay. Okay. Oh, this is a beauty, okay. All right, here we go. We've got a backside blitz come. We've got an over defense here. No back call by the center. The tackle's got B-gap hinge. He sees the blitz. He's here. Now, in theory, what should happen in this center, you'll watch him. He'll come off late. As this guard starts to track and sees the linebacker backside stepping up, they're responsible on this double team now. Back here, they see it step up. I should secure my gap right there. He falls into the nose. The center should come off late there. I shouldn't have put this one in. But anyway, watch the center. He comes off late there. That's his backside A-gap. He's got this A-gap. This was an example of gap blocking. B-gap, backside B-gap here, turning all these guys loose. Here comes the guard. Close to overrunning the hole, but not really. I think he's pretty good turning up. No penetration, turn up. Look inside. There it is. Pretty good play. Keep going. Okay. I think the guard's pulling flat here. If he isn't, okay, this is the best block play of the year, okay? Watch this one. I'll just let this one run. Yep, that's how the average got up. It was really well blocked. Okay, here we go. Wide look here, right? Anticipate we've got the Sam linebacker on the ball. Mike's here. Here's the will. Safety's inserted weak. The combination still goes here. We didn't block the will all day. The thing that we told George here as the game went on, our left guard, is you now want to be a little bit thicker through that thing with the will coming over the top, and we'll take it back to this guy. But they got too many guys. I mean, we're trying to do the best we can. He's trying to do what I've told him to do, create some angle. His second step could come a little bit more through. But here's an idea on the wash of what we're talking about. Nice job here of washing this across. Bam. Poor spill, right? It's hard to fit up. That Mike linebacker should be over the top, take this thing on with his inside shoulder, and force this play back inside, and we're dead. They got a safety coming over the top. They got a will that we can't get to, but they're bad on their spills. Okay? He's coming in and blocking the safety. We got the corner making the tackle. Misses the tackle. Okay, any questions on this one? I'm sorry. Let me see here. Backside hinge. Okay. Go. Okay, little even fronts here. The guy's now shaded backside. No change front side. Again, that's the way to get back to the will now. A little bit better here by him. Like a little more step, a little angle there. Nice job by 70 coming down and washing this guy. He's trying to grab him there. He gets through. Watch this. Nice job by the tight end. Nice track through by the tight end, trying to get his hat in front. Right angle block. Back block hinge. Good. Is it inside there? Yeah, this is where he comes over and looks at me sideways. I mean, I pull out the end zone picture or whatever, and you see that little crease right there. Say, run that crease right there. But, you know, he's nice either way. He does a nice job. He's trying to come down and spill it. Still dig it out. Question?
Center there, your center on that back block. What's his first step?
His first step's backing at the guy. His aiming point initially, it depends on, again, we mess with it. But his aiming point, he's stepping back at this hip. He's trying to build a wall this way. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then he'll step flatter and stick his hat all the way across the guy, but he's trying to step at this near hip, put his face right, just build a wall right here. Allow the guy to penetrate if he wants to. Kind of where he is right there. I can't tell if he's stepping at him or pivoting, you know. All right, 6 power again, even front, backer strong. Okay, not bad here. Now, let me see if I have sideline on this. Here's a look at the guard when he pulls up into the line. This is what we had. This was what all of last year's cut-ups looked like. Okay, the guard here digs it. Now, we could say maybe dig up more and kick this guy out, but here's where he sees he's not flat. So he gets up in there and bang, he knocks the tackle off. First play, first game in Green Bay, exact play, different guard. We did the same thing this year. Get around that thing, we'd get him right there on the Sam linebacker, and we'd crease these guys. We waste a nice block here by our fullback on the end. Everybody else is on their guy. We got our guard back to the will. The tight end, again, is doing a really nice job down to the Mike linebacker. And our guard is wasted because he's hitting the freaking tackle. So same thing here. Step down, get movement, push, create it, there. Go. Get out of there so we can get movement with the tackle. Almost too much penetration, nice job. But it's not. If that guard's flat, he never hits that thing. He's right up there, bam, traps 53, now 55 and 7. Or this tight end and 70 are doing a good job, and we can crease that thing up inside there. All right, here we go. 7. Again, here's where I think he leans out too much when you ask the question on the front side guard, but his footwork's right, and he's good back to the will. Hat should be more too square here with the left tackle. Hat should be more on the number, so if he rolls out and tries to spin out, he still does a nice job. We could spin that out a little bit cleaner. Center on the back, again, like Ken had talked about, trying to work those hips up the field and build a wall there. Pulling guard, just blow it up. There it is. Penetration, blow it up. He's trying to hit, bam, bam, hits him a little bit, blow it up, we're up in the A gap. Don't really block him real well, don't really block him real well. The tight end's okay on the mic, hat in front. No, he didn't, right. Well, yeah. I'm saying his footwork here, his second step is good. The only thing I don't like, because I'm saying it's up the field. And then that's why remember I said it at the beginning, I said sometimes it's the third step, sometimes it ends up being 2 more steps just because of the way, you know what I'm saying? He runs the danger of getting undercut on this thing. But it's not, I'm saying it's 1, 2, go. Sometimes it's 1, 2, and then 2 more, and it's releasing. And I can't, and what do I tell him there? You know, I think that's good. Yeah, you know. Same thing here. He's a little bit, he'd like to see, he's taking the angle like I asked him to, but he's leaning back into the double, which forces, it makes it harder on him on 64, where if he would just come more through it, I think we could wash 64 a little bit more that way than we are right there and open this running lane by washing the 3 a little bit more. So nice job by the guard here getting up onto the backside backer.
Coach, will you tell the tight end to follow the 7 on the out block there? I mean, if the 7 slants out, will you stay on it?
Yeah, well, that was the point. And right now, if he's a 7 and he's blocking down and that guy goes outside, the tight end will roll with him. Okay? The thing that happens is because of blitzes over here, sometimes he comes so flat that you'd prefer to leave the tight end on track. And so we've done both. But right now, he'd roll out with the guy if he worked out. Pretty good job here with the guard. Thanks, Bob. Pulling flat and through, hinge. Nice job by the guard. Okay. Again, gap play here. Just a little look at some blitzes. Nice job here. Very good patience by the center. This front was they ran this stunt a lot, so it keyed all these guys off on the hinge. Now picking up the run through here by the center and the hinge here. Good, good, and through.
What about your left guard there?
Excuse me. Okay, left. Yeah. Okay, rookie. I think he ought to keep coming, and he should be tracking, thinking what should happen on this stunt is he should be here, and this linebacker's coming to this A gap, and he's working outside there. And he should think A gap because the call here, now here's what happened to him though, in all honesty. See, it starts under. So right now the combination is here with a back block. Yeah, they're an eat block there and he's down on the nose. When they shifted, he makes the adjustment to come down, follow me, and the left guard didn't. And the left guard should make that adjustment, continue on track and block the A gap. A lot easier said than done though. I'm not, you know, whatever. Bad grade, tough. That's nice job here. Guard turn up. Nobody asks it. They always ask about the mesh between this guy and this guy coming from the eye. Does he ever have hesitation and therefore run across the hole because this guy isn't being blocked? You know what I'm saying? And because we do it so much out of the eye, he sees it and thinks turn up, turn up. He knows with a guy that wide, unless he's really closing flat, it's not going to be a blow up. Okay, anything on this? I'm sorry, any other questions? Nice job backside of the hinge. Again, him drop, hinge, like to work up the next level back here with the tackle. One more time, same look. They're crossing different guys, same look. A gaps, down, down, back, build a wall. Now what happens to the guard here, he runs across the hole, there's a little penetration right there. Guard doesn't step, see his big drop step there? So that right there forces the guard deep. This is one of the few times I think we overran the hole, but you can't fault him here. It's the penetration of the front side guard. If nothing shows, this is an example of, there's nothing really here. Everybody's run through. Stay tight off the tackle's hip. Block any off color that shows and continue to build a wall up the field to the backside. Get that guard up. Here's a backdoor cut. Again, go. Okay? He's not doing anything. He's stepping underneath himself. Come off the ball, get your second step down, release somewhere in here, start going back here. Go. Get out the way. Go. We'll get more wash out of this guy. Not a bad read here by the guard. Is the mic blocked? No, he's unblocked. What made him? I guess he saw the nose stick his hat back across too soon, and he jumped back door. The question was, what made him go back side? I don't know. He's a pretty good runner. That made him go back there. Run where they ain't. Okay, here we go. 6 power again. Sam's coming off the ball. They're doing a nice job. They're wearing our tight end out here a little bit, I think. Again, same thing with the front side guard. A little bit better going to the backside linebacker here. And again, I would say here, I like his second step okay. I don't like when he leans back into the 3. I still don't, because it makes it, we don't, just what happens here. It's the 3s coming off to make the play. More angle. Go. Pretty good job here by the center. Nice job. At least when the guard releases, he gets backside. Does a nice job on the will. I'm hurrying here. Do you guys have enough of this, or is want me to run through the tape? It's not that much longer. Here we go versus the game. It's almost over here. TT game front side. Again, we pick up the gap straight up the field with the guard and working backside. Picked up the loop. Tight end stays tight. Obviously, pretty good stunt to run this play against. Hinge. Nothing there. Okay. Any questions there on the power? Question is, do you ever one back it and block on? I mean with no other kick out back? No, sir, we don't do that. No, we don't. No, the question was, do you make a change with the fullback and the pulling guard where the fullback leads through and the guard does the kick out, and the question's no. We just run what we got right there. Anything else? Lunchtime? That's it. That's okay.
Most of the full deal.
Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, we're going to be back here. Now it's